Welcome to the Gyms Podcast. I'm your host, Joel Kleber, and this podcast is designed to share stories of our franchisees, franchisors, Jim himself, and other members of the Gyms family that we think you might find interesting. If you are researching our brand, we've got a previous back catalogue. There's so many great episodes that you can find online. And if you do like what you hear, please make sure you leave us a thumbs up on YouTube if you're watching, or online as well. We really do appreciate the support. Without further ado, here's today's episode. Phil, thanks for joining us today, and congratulations on being one of our core memberships, silver memberships, which allows you to free nights at any core hotel in Australasia, really. 50% of your dining at some restaurants, and there's a lot of perks as well. So silver membership, being a star franchisee, so we'll get that up to you as well. And yeah, we just wanted to have a chat to you about yourself, and you've been going with us for just a bit over a year now. You've got 84 5-star ratings. You've got a perfect star rating, which is fantastic. And in Test and Tag, that's a really, we're a division where you probably don't have as many customers coming all the time. You've been able to build that up really quickly from what I can tell, and obviously delivering an exceptional service. So maybe let's start with Phil. What were you doing prior to Gyms and Test and Tag?
Yeah, no, thanks, Joel. And firstly, thanks for the voucher and that sort of stuff. You know, it's never what you do these things for and all the rest of it. It's always, a nice little reward and maybe take the family away for a couple of nights. So looking forward to that. Yeah, my background, it's an interesting one. It's definitely not from a test to tag or a fire safety background. Prior to doing this, a bit over 18 months ago, I was working in sport, in commercial partnerships. Been doing that for 5 years. And then prior to that, I'd worked at a large FMCG company in Queensland here, Forex, in multiple roles there for about 2 years. So my background is probably more in sales and commercial. And that's sort of been where I've always been. A little bit of sort of sponsorship marketing in the back end of the career. So there's a bit of a significant change to come across and do test and tag and fire safety and take out a franchise.
But it explains why you've got so many good reviews, because as you would know, a lot of it's sales, what you're doing anyway. So you're translating that skill from what you've done over to your own your business so quickly.
Yeah, 100%. It's, for me, and that's probably why I saw it as a great opportunity, because for me, it was all around customer service. At the end of the day, it's a customer service. Yes, the service we provide, the service I provide is test and tag and fire safety, but whether I'm providing that or I'm providing mowing or I'm providing cleaning or that sort of, or even, other things I was doing, whether it was, selling sponsorship or that sort of stuff, it's about customer service. Say what you're going to do, turn up on time. If you're running late, those things happen, ring people, let them know. So, it's the 101s of, I'd say business. It's so many people seem to get it wrong. And at times I get it wrong. I'm not, but I'll put my hand up at times when you do get it wrong and you apologise. And, that's all you can do and try and fix it up. And, that's how I probably got into gyms. Was actually, I read one of, I had a mate who had a Jim's mowing, and I also did read one of Jim's books. And I love Jim's customer service philosophy and, understanding, his theory around it. And then also, once I got in and did the training and then understood more around his complaint processes and those sort of things, that protects the brand and that protects my brand. And, for me, that's important. And that, a bit of my background around brands and working with big brands, you understand, the protection of your brand. So you're right. It's probably, that's why for me, the service I do is what it is. But it was around the business side of things. And that's why I could see the transition have been reasonably well sort of thing.
That's fantastic. Now, why Gyms Test and Tag? You've got a friend who do Gyms mowing. Most people would probably go to Gyms mowing. So why did you select Gyms Test and Tag?
A couple of different reasons. First of all, he goes, I haven't really listened. He's heard good things about it. So I hadn't heard much about it. And to be honest, I looked into it a bit more and caught up with the franchisor up here and had a bit more of a look into what does it entail. Then, I was looking at a couple. I probably made up my mind to go, I want to do a franchise, but I hadn't really set on which one it sort of was going to be. And I looked at a couple others of that. And for me, it was then around finding something that I felt was I could do for, 5, 10, 15 years. I'm not overly old, but, honestly, I didn't want to be, cutting grass when I was 50 or 60 years old sort of thing. And there's no disrespect to the guys that do it. That was just my personal choice that I didn't want to be out in the sun and doing that sort of stuff. As much as I love mowing, I love that. I just didn't want to, in Queensland, in Brisbane, the hot summers and that sort of stuff. The other thing then that once I looked more into it, what I liked about test and tag and fire safety from a business point of view versus say mowing, or even if you're going to pool cleaning or dog wash or these other ones, it's not based around people's disposable income is what I look at it. So if you're looking at mowing and in certain areas, but in cleaning this, particularly in domestic areas, it's what I call disposable income for people. So, when the economy gets really tight and people are looking at their budgets, do I need to be spending that money on cutting the grass, or can I do it myself, or can I pull back here and that sort of stuff? Where for me, around test and tag and fire safety, from a business point of view, it's a compliance. So, people have to do it, businesses have to do it. The thing I liked about it too was then around the repeat work. So, your fire safety you're doing every 6 months. Your test and tag for, tradies, it could be 3 monthly, into, workshops it's 6 monthly, offices it's 12 monthly. So after sort of, 18 months to 2 years, you should have a really good business. Yes, you still have some one-offs, and I still have those people that might just need a one-off for an event or a conference or bits and pieces. But, over, as you said, it's been a bit over 18 months, I've built up a really good core base of customers and repeat customer service. And, you just take away, you're providing solutions for them. It's something they need to do, but they don't want to have to think about it. They've got enough going on in their own business of trying to, operate and generate profits and that sort of stuff. This is something they don't want to have to think about, but they need to get it done. And if you can provide a solution for them for that, well, that's, that's been my goal since I sort of started. So, back to your question around, why test and tag and fire safety? Once I looked at it, it probably come down to those couple of core things for me was around repeat work, not relying on disposable income, being, a bit more around that compliance side of things. And then also I found, flexibility around the hours and that sort of stuff. So, sometimes I'll do some early mornings, I can do some late evenings, but I'm not sort of dictated to when I have to work, particularly around weekends and that sort of stuff with young kids and family and that sort of stuff.
You made a really great point about the income side of it regarding a business, right? So business, regarding, you've got recessions or, there's a fear of recessions and all that sort of stuff where people might tighten the wallet a bit, whereas with a business, it has to be done. It's something that's constantly done. I haven't heard anyone describe that yet for test and tag. That's a really great point.
Yeah, and then that's it. Like for me, that's when you do. Like for me, looking at it, is going. I think of myself, and I've had house cleaners, and I've had people who've done pools and bits and pieces, or even washing or cutting the dog and that sort of side of things. And you're very much, if you're having some tight months or when things are going well, you have the money. But if you're not, the first thing you go, well, we can probably get the vacuum cleaner out or the duster and that sort of stuff. So, it is one that is this fully recession proof and all the rest of it? Yeah, it's probably not, because again, people will look at their expenses and if you don't have downturns. But for me, the thing I also liked about this is around diversification across your customer base and your business. So, I know there's some guys in gyms testing tagging and that they just focus on offices, and there's others that might just do tradies and that sort of stuff, where I find I've got a really good diversification of my customer base around test and tag and around fire, big offices, small offices, tradies into workshops. And I think having a good diversification of your customer base also helps you be sustainable or manage some of those downturns and that sort of stuff as well.
Let's talk about all the services you provide. You've mentioned a few, which is obviously test and tag, and there's fire safety. Maybe you want to talk about everything that you do for your customers to let people know about it.
So from a test and tag point of view, it's your annual, your 6 monthly, test and tag your electrical appliances. Also doing your RCD safety switches. They're also every 6 months. So that's probably the main ones. We'll do 3-phase gear, etc. So all of your electrical gear. Then from a fire point of view, then we get into fire extinguisher blankets testing, emergency exit lights, also doing smoke alarms, for rentals, etc. I've got a couple of them, not a heap of them, but then I had one this morning where we put in some new smoke alarms for a replace battery operated 10-year lithium batteries. So I know in Queensland there's a big change a couple of years ago with rental markets, and if you're selling your house, you have to now have it all up to standard, and that's going to come in for everyone by 2027. So they're the core core services that we sort of provide.
And do businesses love the fact that you can do the fire safety side of it as well? Because I presume a lot of them sometimes might go to two areas. One guy does the test and tag and they get a fire safety company in, but you guys can do everything with the first aid kits and everything together.
Yeah, you go great. And that's around how you make it, take solutions to your customers and that sort of stuff. And there's any perfect example. I've got a concrete company that I do their test and tag every 3 minutes out to 8 or 9 different sites. But then every 6 months, I'm doing all their fire extinguishers as well. So, you're right. Instead of them having to send a different supplier out there, think about it, deal with different suppliers. To be able to go to one supplier that can do, the test and tag, particularly you find that with the smaller organisations, they might just have 1 or 2 fire extinguishers. and they might have 5 or 6 computer desks and that sort of stuff. That's where it makes us, or a little coffee shop. They might have, half a dozen things or 20 or 30 things, and then you test and tag to have 2 fire extinguishers, to get someone else to deal with 2 different suppliers. When you're there every 6 months anyway, it makes sense sort of thing. So, but, in real big organisations, and that's what I've got better at even with myself is I've looked at what sort of customers I like to have. What do I find has that good mix? And there's certain customers, I've had that conversation, we say, mate, with all respect, you're too big for me. I'm a one-man band. Go and chat to this company because, they might have fire doors and alarm panels and all the rest of it, which we don't do. Well, I don't do. There's some guys that might do it, but I don't do it. So because I haven't gone down that avenue, and that's fine. It's knowing what you want to do, and it's great to remember some of their guys at other divisions that specialise in what they want to do. But, customers don't mind that if you just be upfront and honest with them.
Now, what's some common stuff that you feel that businesses make mistakes of? Now, is this like, overloading sockets, or they maybe get someone in-house to do it? Or what's some common mistakes that business owners are making when it comes to what you do in terms of your services?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say people make mistakes. I think what people will do is and I totally understand it, it's not a priority for their business. With all respect, doing test and tag for them at the time, doing test and tag in their fire safety, it's never an issue until there is an issue, if that makes sense. So, they're sitting there going, that might be a few $100 or $1,000 or whatever that they can save for next time. Especially smaller business will go and get the pressures on small business. So to turn around and all of a sudden spend $500 or $600 to have someone come in to do all your testing, they go, well, that's just coming straight out of their profits for the month or paying wages and that sort of stuff. So for me, what I see more so, it's complacency around not getting it done regularly. Then that's probably the biggest one, is first and foremost, is go and understand it mightn't be a priority, but it should be a priority because you do pick up things, majority of the time I'd say, especially from an electrical point of view, we fail 95% of things before we've even plugged into our testing machine just by looking at it. Now that might be the plugs pulled out, electrical cord, there might be a cut in the cord. And I've had leads on construction sites where they've been cut and all the way down to the copper wires and that sort of stuff. Now, if someone touches that, they're in a lot of trouble. So, there's people say you can't see electricity. It's different to other dangers that you see out in the workplace. You can't see electricity. It's hit you before you know it. So it's too late once you've hit it, or it's hit you, and it can cause significant dangers and that sort of stuff. Then from a business point of view, it's a big risk to them. Then from a fire point of view, again, it's making sure probably their extinguishers are up to date. So, every 5 years they need to be re-pressure tested or changed out and that sort of stuff. So, again, how often does a business need to use it? You can go 30, 40, 50 years with never having to use a fire extinguisher. But trust me, when you needed it, you want to make sure it works. And you want to make sure that it's accessible. That's probably the biggest one from a fire point of view. Is, people stick the boxes in front of fire extinguishers and in front of doors and this sort of stuff. And it's like, again, not an issue until you actually need it. So, that's the biggest one. We're actually doing it regularly. And, when you have a regular system in place and that sort of stuff, you actually don't find a heap of issues. You find a few, but it's just, staying on top of it to make sure and more so, it's keeping your staff safe. That's what I come back to, is going, it's making sure you keep your staff. You want to keep your staff safe. If you want to get into the risk for a business, a lot of insurance companies, first thing if you have an issue, they'll say, where's your test and tag records? Where your fire records? So if you haven't got them, you're in trouble. Like, with all respect to them, insurance companies don't like paying out. So they'll find reasons not to, sort of thing. So, I always say, first and foremost, you shouldn't do it because it's the right thing to do and you want to keep your staff safe. That's why it's in place. The second part to it is, you want to also protect your business for any legalities down the track.
Well, Jim knows too well because half the place burnt down when the test and tag, one of the monitors he didn't get to or whatever, there was the one that burnt down the half the joint. So Jim's a big fan of test and tag and knows how important it is. But I was going to say, how did you find the training then? Coming from a totally unrelated, field into doing test and tag, I presume, did you come down and do the training at office?
Yeah, so I was lucky. I was post the COVID period, so I had to come down. And I think I've spoken to a few of the guys up here that did sort of our stuff online. And, the value of doing it face-to-face versus online is chalk and cheese. So, that's probably another conversation another time. But, it is without doubt, it's great value. But the training I found, really good. Again, those sort of things I always think you get out of what you put into it. I thought the first 3 days, which was just the generic gyms training, I thought was a really good insight for someone coming in to understand the gym's processes. And, respect to Jim, and I say this to a lot of people when I talk about it, is, the first person that talks is Jim. And, he sits there and he tells, we're the most important people in the room. And if we have an issue, gives us his number and tells us to give him a call and that sort of stuff. And, I've worked in big organisations and corporate, a lot of the time the corporate sayings and all the rest of it. And, it's about saying versus it's about doing and that sort of stuff. And credit where credit's due, Jim gets in and, he has those, and I know it's not necessarily the most comfortable thing for Jim, but, he's out there and he has those conversations. Then I think it gives you a really good insight into, the opportunities within gyms, understanding it's hard to probably get the messaging across when you've got multiple divisions there. And majority, if I look at it, our training day, I think there's nearly not 80 or 90 people in there. There might have only been 5 tested tag guys. And there might have been, 20, dog wash. And there might have been 40 mowing and that sort of stuff. So it's about the audience. But you're getting good understanding. I probably already from business background, like I just completed an MBA in sports management and that sort of stuff from my previous role. And so my business background and the commercial business background is probably my strength. The technical side of things of doing the job was my weakness, sort of thing. So I probably, certain things I probably didn't need as much, but then there's other people that I know probably got a lot out of the basics of it. And I think, again, just a basic thing that I didn't get out of it, and for all my background was around, that's things like your 10-point plan. Because when you're starting a new business, it's easy to look at the dollars and cents coming in, or the leads coming in and the jobs you're getting. But early on, as you mentioned, chest and tags a different one to probably mowing and cleaning, where yes, you still get leads, and I've been, lucky to get a good number of leads, but we don't get the number of leads that you get from other businesses. You do have to get out there and do a bit of cold calling yourself in your territory, and you got to drive your business yourself a bit more in this, because it's very business orientated, not necessarily domestic orientated. So, I think having little things that you take out of training from that, and even getting into things around, looking after yourself mentally and your well-being, that's really important to me. And, taking those little big things on board, just go, be kind to yourself and meeting other people. That was a big one for me. Meeting some, it was great to stay on site. You meet some of the trainers and, have a beer with them afterwards and that sort of stuff. So for doing that, I think it gives you a really good setup. So when you walk away from it, you're in a good position to go. And, then we did another 10 days of test and tag training. I then had to go and do our fire training separately, but I don't know if it's finalised yet, but they were looking to bring the 5 back in-house, which I spoke to them about. I strongly recommend it, because I think, being able to go and do all that at once and then be able to walk away and start it is key. But again, you meet those people that, I've had challenges at times, or technical questions or bits and pieces, and you go and find them. You've got a bit of a network there that you can talk to guys through. So, I think the training around, giving you some good insights and hearing from people that have been there, done that, made mistakes, learned from mistakes, I think it's, a really good opportunity.
And for what I know from interviewing test and tag franchisees in Victoria, is that the training you guys do for over 10 days is the most comprehensive for anything. I think I don't know if it's down here, you can do like a course in 2 days or whatever, or day or whatever it is.
You test and tag ticket in a day.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated. And to be fair, what we do isn't overly complicated. But what I did like about it, what, to your point, was, I think where you're going is, like, it is very comprehensive. For someone like myself, who technically that's where I knew that's where I was. I didn't come from a trade background. Well, we have guys who might have come from trade backgrounds and have a better understanding of the technical side of things. They probably found that stuff easier. But for someone like myself, and it is a bit of a more technical area and that sort of side of things. But to understand all of that, to take that away, I think it's you're right. It's really helps you set up to go forward and have a really good conversation with your customers and know that you're doing the right thing in the market.
Absolutely. And also it's about the standard that you guys do. I know you guys, from talking to the guys down here, you go above and beyond what's required, I think, in terms of
the leakage test
and things like that. Yeah. Whereas not other, it's not required, but you guys do that sort of stuff and you go above and beyond with what you do.
I think and then that's why I think it comes back around the gym's philosophy with everything is around, one of the things I liked about it is around, it's not the bare minimum. It's about, making sure that you are doing the best you can possibly do and having a standard and holding yourself and your other franchisees to that standard to make sure that you're delivering really good quality for your customers. Yeah, I think that's really important.
And with your business, like it's a pretty amazing achievement. People might not know how, because with Test and Tag, as you said before, it's something where you've got to cold call and you've got to really drive it. You can't sit back and just think it's going to happen. Test and Tag's definitely not the division for someone who expects that to happen. You might get away with that in mowing and cleaning or something, but how have you been able to generate so much goodwill and reviews and clients so early? Because it's a really big achievement to what you've done. More than just over a year, you've been able to build, I presume, a really great business for yourself and lifestyle out of it. So is there something that you do differently from talking to other guys, or what are you doing?
I don't think there is anything that I do differently to what we talk about within gyms. And it was probably one of the biggest insights that my mate from mowing gave me. He said, mate, the system's the system and it works. Don't try and change it. He said, guys fall over when they come in, or guys or girls come in, and they look at it and go, oh, I can do this better, I could do this and I could do that. And they try and change the system. The system is what it is. And credit to Jim and the whole team. It works because they've made adaptations along the way, but they've just got our fleet. One of the biggest things I think, and you learn, go through this in the training, is around when you get a lead, and I'd say probably 80% of all my work has come from leads, in all honesty, and 20% has come from cold calling and other contacts and that sort of stuff. But when you get to that lead, the biggest thing is it's treat that like dog. And, I'm always, we talk about it, as you ring them in the first couple of minutes, you're successful, a chance to get a job and that sort of stuff. We go up against, a lot of trades and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, you get a lead in, you ring someone, you ring within the first 2 or 3 minutes. The amount of times I've got a reaction go, oh, wow, that was a quick. I wasn't expecting that. And it's just, they're not, unfortunately, people in Australia, I always see this, particularly post-COVID, our standard of service has really dropped out in the marketplace and that sort of stuff. And not necessarily gyms people, in community sort of thing. And I find that even sometimes our expectation of service has dropped. Like trades are busier. Like it's hard to get a trade. If you want to get a builder to come and do anything in your house, you 12, 18 month wait. Prices have gone through the roof. So people have dropped their level of expectation of service. So just providing really good customer service. And then it's being mindful of when you're getting yourself busy, or if you are getting busy, to pull your leads back before you get yourself too busy. So I did that, probably about 3 or 4 months ago. I got into a period where I was getting really busy and I had some big work. I picked up a couple of big customers and that sort of stuff. So I pulled my leads right back. So I knew that then, I can manage 1 or 2 new leads a week. I pulled them back local. I knew I could get to them closely and that sort of stuff. You've got to set yourself up for success too. So don't, it's hard sometimes when you don't know what's 3 or 4 months away, but you've got to make sure that you don't make mistakes with customers now because you're worried about missing out on a customer 3 or 4 months away. Like let those leads go to other guys and that sort of stuff. You've got the stuff, and if you have a good business plan in place and you know what you need to do, I think that was a good one for me too. I took the time to put a good business plan in place with franchisor, and what it allowed me to do as well as having quiet months or other things to come back to that and go, actually, I'm still ahead of where I thought I would be, or I'm still on track and that sort of stuff. So, be kind to yourself. Give yourself, you got to have patience sometimes, and you got to remind yourself that, you are setting up a new business, and, so you've got to give yourself time to let that business grow sort of thing. But I think, the biggest one I always say is around, that customer service, ringing people quickly. Then, if you say you're going to be somewhere, commit to it. Understand things happen. There's car accidents, traffic goes pear-shaped, you get caught up on another job. Those things happen. Just ring the customers and let them know. I think, that's one sometimes you don't know what you're walking into. You think it might be a half an hour job, and I've had that many times. You think it's a half an hour job or an hour job, and you're there all day. That's not a bad thing, but if you planned other stuff around it, you got to be able to move quickly to adjust. And that's, talk to people. Don't avoid the conversation, because you avoid it, it actually gets worse down the track.
For sure, and some great advice there. I was going to ask you as well, are you happy with your lifestyle and the income you're making from the business? Because you're just over a first year, so first year is generally the hardest in anything. So are you happy with where you're at the moment?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It was actually, I had a good chat with my franchisor this week. We just had a bit of a, chat and gone just that full last, full financial year sort of thing. And Financially, I'll talk financially, well and truly it's over exceeded what I'm forecasting in the first 12 months, sort of thing. And based on a couple of really good months, some other months have probably been a little bit quieter, but that's how it works too, and that sort of stuff. But I'd say, it's definitely delivering what I thought, if not more, sort of thing, which is great. But the biggest one for me was not about the financial thing; it was about the lifestyle. So I've been working, in corporate world, doing a lot of travel and that sort of stuff. I've got two young kids. One's just started high school, one's just towards the end of primary school, and I've got a wife with an amazing career herself. And in both our careers, we're going like this, and we thought we had to find some better balance of what we had. And she'd supported me a lot early on, and we thought, well, there's a chance to support her. And again, seeing this and being able to provide the lifestyle, that was our biggest reason as to why we went down this avenue. The one thing that at times when I had those, when I was people ask me, how do you go? I said, well, at the end of the day, the biggest reason we got into it was around lifestyle. I do most drop-offs, most pickups, doing kids sport, those sort of things. Now, if it wasn't for this, if I was still doing my old roles and that sort of stuff, the kids probably are playing with afternoon sport because we got no one to take them and those sort of things. So it definitely is. I see, the stories and you hear the stories and you sometimes think it can't be that good and all the rest of it. But you see multiple people that have changed and got into it. It is your own business. You get control. Early on, you're probably a little bit more dictated to customers because it's a lot more reactive to the leads coming through. But again, once you've had them for 6 or 12 months, I'm now planning 2-3 weeks in advance and can manage the customers' jobs within my time frame as well and that sort of stuff. And, like this week coming up, my kids go to my mum and dad's for the holidays, school holidays for a week. So I do a lot of work in that week and a lot of early mornings because I can do it that week. But then other weeks you don't do it, sort of thing. So, it definitely allows you to have that flexibility that we were probably looking for in our family, and it's helped a lot with that.
That's great to hear, Phil, and I love hearing that because the lifestyle component, we say lifestyle, but what is that? And that's exactly what you just said, being able to drop the kids to and from school, they can do sport and, and you can be there where you need and make it more flexible around you and you're not dictated to by a boss or some other schedule where you've got corporate expectations. So I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, and mate, and that's it. Everyone's lifestyle's different. Like that's what's important to me. There might be other people that might be, I like to work, and we've got guys that just, hey, well, I like to work really, early in the morning and they're done by, mid-afternoon or early afternoon. You got other guys that, might do a bit more nighttime and that sort of stuff. So
I just had Jim in the background, but Jim says hello there. Doing an interview, Jim. Doing an interview with Phil, so Phil's very happy. You can sort of see Jim in the back. No, you can't see. You have to put your head over there. You can see his head. There we go. But no, that's great to hear, Phil, and we love hearing that sort of stuff. And Jim gets those emails from franchisees saying, it's not about some people start with the money intention. Like obviously you want to make what you're making previously to exceed it, but then it's morphs very quickly. Well, it's the lifestyle thing. I can volunteer more, or I can do this, or I can do that. So I'm really happy to hear that's how your lifestyle's going, and you're happy with that. That's great. Now, from your perspective, what advice would you give to someone maybe starting in your position again, getting into this thing? Like what words of encouragement, or what would you tell them would be the best way to look at it or doing that transition?
I think that the best way to do it is don't be afraid. Maybe that's right. And he nearly put me off a couple of times. He's going, it is a risk. At the end of the day, you're making a risk. Like I walked away from a really good job that I'd been in for 5 years with a good salary, something I really loved doing. I actually enjoyed what I did. So don't be afraid, because 100% of people that don't have a go at something fail. You might as well have a go and see how you go. So first of all, have a go. There's good systems in place to make sure you succeed. And if you stick to the systems and the processes and listen to the people around you, you will succeed. But it's not easy. It's also hard work. I think that's the biggest one. Yes, you might hear different stories and you hear it at training around people, they come in and they're making all this money and doing all that. But it's doing it for the reasons you want to do it. And once you understand why you're doing it, you have those plans in place, and you keep coming back to that, that's allows you to get through some of those quiet times. I've had tough days. Like over the last 18 months, I've had tough days. I've had tough weeks. What my wife knows about when you're sitting around, you're not getting any work and the lead isn't coming through and you're knocking on doors and you're just getting doors showing your face. It's not all easy. But if you work hard, you can build a really good business out of it, sort of thing. And again, it's up to you what you want to make it. Now, I'm happy to be a sole operator, just work for myself. Now, potentially in 2 or 3 years' time, and what changing, you could put on 2 or 3 staff and have a massive big business if you want. But if you want to worry about that, I don't want to worry about the staff. I just want to look after myself. I have enough trouble doing that.
Staff are another word. Thanks. Up to you.
The biggest ones around, have a go. It's a learning opportunity. And, I had an old director at, where I was working, then they think, even when you're learning this time of doing your own business, staying in the role or staying in, I probably wouldn't learn what I've learned from doing this sort of thing. So, have a go, back yourself, stick to the process and ask people a lot of questions. But don't be afraid to get in and have a go, because it is, it was been life-changing for our family, and something that, very grateful for the opportunity and, excited about, the future ahead sort of thing. So.
That's great, Phil. Fantastic to hear. And I was going to just ask you one last question before we finish today. It was about your support from your franchisor. So many people in gyms or outside of gyms want to know what a franchisor does, but maybe just want to elaborate a bit on the support from the franchisor if you attend meetings and how you find that extra stuff.
Yeah, and I think, for me, that was probably why a few people said, why don't you go and set your own business up? Why do you do a franchise? And you tell them, about the fees and buying in and this sort of things. And sometimes people get put off by that. For me, what that was doing is there's two things. I was buying a brand, which I was really, is important to me. I understand the value of a brand when you're setting up a new business. The second part about it was a support network. So a support network, when I would come from working in teams, say, yes, I'm my own business, I can just stick in my own lane, I don't have to talk to anyone, it's not too bad. But when you have times of trouble, or whether, you might be halfway through a job and your tester stops working, you can ring someone else who might have a spare tester, or, having a network is really important. So having your franchisor who, is helping you through the process when you've got technical questions or you've got other, customer challenges or bits and pieces about it, chat through and work through them, just to give someone who's been around for 5, 6, 10 years and that sort of stuff. So I think, that's really important. And again, you get out of what you put in. So if you like, you can be very isolated and not really spend much time with them. Or you can, get to the meetings, talk to them, that sort of stuff. And you actually probably, I find, and that's for me and my personality, you get a fair bit out of it. So, I think it's a valuable asset to have, particularly when you're starting up new and in those probably challenging times, those first 18 months to 2 years, to talk to other guys who've come through. And, that was really important to me even at the start. Like, he encouraged me before I started to ring 3 or 4 franchisees. And he just gave me the list of them. He didn't tell me which ones to ring. He said, you just think who you want to ring. And I spoke to guys that have been in the business 12 months, have been guys 10 years, and you get a good variety of where they're at and what it was doing for them sort of thing. So, I think that's credit to the system, so to speak.
No, but good on you for doing your research as well, because we encourage obviously everyone to ring franchisees and do as much research as they can. And obviously with your background, you did all that, and you can see why you're a star franchisee. From what I know of Test and Tag, to get as many ratings as you have in the first year is I don't think it's common at all. So you're obviously a star and you do a fantastic job and your customers love you. And on behalf of Gyms Group as well, we want to present you and your partner and your family this Silver Accord membership. So basically what it is, it'll take 5 business days to come through, but it's 2 complimentary nights to stay at any, like Sofitel, Pullman, Novotel, wherever you want, which is on the Accord list, up to 50% of your dining bill at over 1,400 restaurants, some 15% of drinks, and there's other stuff as well. So have a nice weekend away with you and the family on us. And big thank you for everything you do for the Test and Tag division and for your customers. As I said at the start, you're a star from what I can tell. And I'm not just telling you because you're there, but I think I haven't seen many Test and Tag franchisees get as many 5-star reviews as what you have in their first year. It's very, very impressive. So well done.
No worries, mate. And thank you to yourself and Jim and the business, the man, the core. Mate, it's really, as I said, it's really appreciated. And it's easy now. I don't have to work weekends, so it's easy to get away.
That's handy. No worries. That's
awesome.
Great, mate. Well, thanks, Phil. Thank you for your time and have a great weekend. And we'll get this off to you. But thank you again for joining us today and really happy to hear about your success. So thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Phil. See you, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the episode of the Gyms podcast. If you want to learn more about the Gyms Group, head to gyms.net or call us on 131 546 Australia or 0800 454 654 New Zealand. And if you did like the episode as well, please make sure you leave a review or a comment or a thumbs up or a comment on the video as well. We appreciate your support. And until next episode, we hope you have a great week.